Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to GarageBand Weekly here on Studio Live. Today on this episode, I'm answering your questions about GarageBand. If you've got questions about creating and recording and releasing your music using GarageBand, or maybe using another DAW, because you know what, we're GarageBand Weekly here, but we do like to help folks out, then please do answer your questions. If you're here live, all you need to do is put a big Q in front of your comment and I'll grab your question there. If you're watching on the replay, jump down into the comments below and leave your question, because I'll be hanging out there. I'm always there in the comments, lurking. And speaking of the comments, we've got some questions that have come in from folks during the week. The show is brought to you by our GarageBand FAQ. If you jump on over to this website here, studiolivetoday.com/GarageBand, you can check out the FAQ there. We've got my $10 course there. You've also got the GarageBand Essentials and other playlists that you can check out. And all of the questions about GarageBand are answered there. Welcome aboard to the show. Hello to the folks who are here live. G'day, Joe and Barry Glenn. We've got Thomas Christ, Michael Thompson here, Mr. Mark Bro. Hello to you. Hello to everyone who is hanging out here. Mars Capone as well. And I hope you are all doing very well on this, what is a Sunday evening or perhaps a Monday morning, depending. I don't know. Monday and Tuesday. Time. It's a weird concept, isn't it? Very weird concept. All right, let's jump straight in and talk about the news and the notes of the week. So the big news, if you are an Apple user, and I suggest that most of you probably are, if you're watching a show called GarageBand Weekly, is that we finally have confirmation of the Apple announcement. Here it is. Far out, dude. So live in 8 days' time, at the very convenient time for me of 2:30 a.m. Yep. We have the September event. Now, traditionally, your September event's going to be your iPhone event. Sometimes we get some Apple Watch stuff. Sometimes we get some AirPods. But it's your little stuff. It's the little tackers. We rarely get Macs. We very occasionally get iPad-related stuff, but it's usually your phone. So what we're probably going to see, what we're definitely going to see is an iPhone 14. So I'm currently rocking the iPhone 12 here, the 12 Pro from a few years back. So I'm probably in the market for a 14. I skipped the 13 because I didn't think it added a whole lot. The camera was slightly improved. Apart from that, I didn't see a whole lot of reason to go to the new chip. What are we going to see in the way of surprises in the Apple event? And for GarageBand creators, is there going to be anything in particular? Well, probably not. We might get slightly larger storage sizes. That's always a good thing because your audio projects and your video projects take up a lot of space. But outside of, and the camera's going to improve. So if like me, you use your camera for recording on the go, you're probably going to get a better camera. Is there going to be anything groundbreaking? I don't know. You know what the speculation is? Because we've got this far out thing here, and it's like a spacey thing. The weird speculation is that Apple are going to add satellite communications to the iPhone as like an emergency, not like for regular stuff, but say you're out in the bush or the forest or whatever you call it in your part of the world and you get lost, then you can actually use it as a satellite phone. And you can just take the one device and then you can communicate and send out an SOS. Is that really going to be a killer feature? I don't know. I'm not a guy who ever goes out of cellular range very often. The only times I've been out of coverage has been literally over the weekend when I was flying to and from Melbourne for 1 hour at a time. That's when I'm out of range. So I don't know. Let me know what your thoughts are. Are you excited by this? Is there anything that you can imagine that's going to be cool? I don't know. Mark Bro says still rocking the SE2, might upgrade because of the camera, not sure yet. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if the camera is going to be worth upgrading. I think, so my wife has the SE2 and the camera on that is good. Like we were away on the weekend, but I must admit every time we wanted to take a good, quote unquote, good picture, she'd say, all right, get your phone out and we'll take it on your phone. And basically the front facing camera on my phone is about as good as the rear facing camera on the SE. So yeah, I think there's an option there if you are rocking something older. The other news is that apparently the Mini, so if you like the smaller size, apparently these ones here, the 5.7s are they? 5.4s are going to be your smaller size. The 4.7 inch size that a lot of people actually liked, we had the iPhone 12 and 13 Mini, apparently that's going away due to lack of interest and lack of popularity. Are you going to get the iPhone 14? I'm thinking about waiting for the iPhone 15 to come out for USB-C. So yeah, that's the other thing. Rumors have been around, is it going to be USB-C for the iPhone 14? I think we're pretty confident that it's not. it's probably still going to be Lightning. I don't think with all the supply chain issues and all the other things that Apple have to do that we're going to see USB-C. We've been surprised before. Maybe we'll be surprised again, but I think you're probably going to see a Lightning-based iPhone. But you know what? It's all speculation at this point, and I don't really get super excited by these things until we hear about them. I'll upgrade next year to the 14, and that's what I do too, Jade. I don't get it at the start because people have the teething problems. Remember was it the 6 or the 7, which is you're holding it wrong? Like the iPhone came out and Steve Jobs was like, no, the antenna's fine. You're getting perfect reception. You're just holding it wrong. Yeah, I don't want a holding it wrong situation. That's where I'll wait for like the S version or the next version. So we'll see. By the way, what happened to the S? We don't have the S versions anymore. We just get the regular versions. Just got a 12 Pro Max not long ago, so I'm sold. Yeah, and look, the 12, if you've got a 12 or a 13, I think it's really hard to make that jump to a 14. I don't know. There's not enough that it does differently for me. But new iPad Pro is what I'm eating and saving for. Yeah, and that's the thing. What we'll probably see and what is speculated is another event in October to cover iPads. And the rumor there is the new iPad Pro with M2 question mark? Probably. And the thing is, people are saying, why don't we get an iPad Pro with the M1 Pros and M1 Max and M1 Ultras? You can't. They need cooling. That's the thing. There's a misconception out there, and we talked about it last week, that the M2 is better than all the M1s. It's not. It's better than the M1 by a little bit, but it's actually not as powerful as an M1 Pro, Max, and Ultra, because those things have additional cores, and therefore they need cooling, and therefore they're not going to work if you throw them into a device like the iPad. Just won't work. So we'll see how that all shapes out. Yes, need to replace my Gen 1 SE2, but Apple is dropping the iPhone Mini. Yeah, apparently they're dropping the iPhone Mini. So I reckon your best deal would be a 13. Once the 14 comes out, Greg, I reckon a 13 Mini, like a refurbed 13 Mini, or what Apple sometimes do is they still sell the last model, especially if they're not going to add a Mini, and they might even reduce the price if you're super lucky. So that's what I'll get in there. Thank you for those that are adding questions here. We will get to the Q&A. I'm starring them here in the stream, so I'll answer those. If you think I'm ignoring you, don't worry, I'm not. The other thing I had here in the notes was, isn't it weird how every product has to launch these days? I was watching a Twitch like This Week in Tech yesterday, and they were like, remember when products just were available? Like, why does everything have to have this big song and dance and launch these days? And it kind of reminds me of people selling courses. Like when I started my GarageBand course, like we talked about at the start, I've got like a $10 course. I break all the rules. I do it all wrong when it comes to marketing, even though I have a sales and marketing background. So my course just sort of sits here, the GarageBand Beginner's Guide. It's $10, which is way undercharged from what all the marketing gurus tell me. I need to charge like $47 because it always has to end in a 7. But I just wanted to put a $10 course out there that's going to be affordable and able to be used by as many folks as possible. But what we're seeing nowadays is everything has to be a big launch. Everything has to be like a false scarcity, and everything has to have a big event around it and big hoo-ha. And I'm like, I'm a little bit over it, to be honest. I was agreeing when I was watching the show. I'm like, I don't really want to have a big event. I kind of want to wake up and then to say, the reason I do my show, like I do all the work, I do all the boring listening to these events for you, so I can then do my 5-minute recap. I'll do what I normally do, which is I'll do like a 30 to 60 minute recap just after the event, and then I'll create like a 5-minute video. And that's the one I put out there to the world, to the real people that are like, what did they announce? Did we need 2 hours for them to say the camera's got an extra couple of megapixels and iOS 16 is now available? Not really. I wouldn't think so. Anyway, so yeah, why do we need launches? I don't know. I don't get it. Let's talk to the next one. I just wanted to say, about a week ago, I changed all my passwords and I set up 2-factor authentication on everything. And can I just give you everyone like a little nudge in the direction of, please do that. The number of scams, the number of emails and phone calls and just dodginess going on in the world is just, it's exacerbating. It's going higher and higher every year, every week, every month by the feels of it. And if you want to protect yourself, the best way to do it is to make sure that you've recently changed your password. Try not to use the same password on every service you use. I know it's hard, you've got to remember stuff, or use something like a password manager, although LastPass, which is a password manager a lot of folks use, was hacked in the last week, so that's not ideal. But just spend some time, especially if you're participating in Songtember, you don't want to be worrying about the security of your data and things throughout the month. So, I spent about 3 hours one day. It was a pain in the ass. It was annoying because every service has their account set up differently. You have to go to account settings, security settings, change password, and then you have to set up two-factor authentication. But do it, because I don't want those emails. I still get emails from folks going, I lost all my Apple stuff because someone hacked into my iCloud and deleted everything. It's like, well, I don't know what to tell you apart from when did you last change your password and did you have 2FA? Did you have two-factor authentication on? And when they say no, I say, I hate to say I told you so, but I can't have told you so. So if you're not familiar with two-factor authentication, the best way to do that is to use an authenticator app. So the Google Authenticator, if you go to your app store and just search Authenticator, you'll get a Google. I can't show it on the screen because you'll see my codes. But what it basically does is you use your Google Authenticator, and then every different website or service can use that, and they're rotating codes. So it'll just have a code on there. When you log in, or when you log in from a new device on some platforms, it'll ask you for that code. You go to your phone, you open the Authenticator, and you give it a unique code. The reason that's good is even if someone spoofs your mobile number, even if someone gets access to your messages, because the other way to do it obviously is your text message. So it gives you a text message, then you enter that number. That's the more traditional 2FA, two-factor authentication. If you have an Authenticator app and you want to be extra secure, use the Authenticator app. The Google Authenticator is good, it's free, it's reliable, and it will save you in the future. If something happens, yeah, it totally saves. It saved me many, many times. I recommend it. I highly recommend you do that. Yeah, grab the Authenticator app and then go to your 2FA. And things that you want to secure is obviously your Apple, your iCloud ID, but there's so many things you probably don't think of. Amazon, your YouTube, your Google stuff, you can authenticate. You can have 2FA on that. All of your emails, all of your services, your social media. Like there's a lot of stuff out there. If you've got Twitter, if you've got Facebook, if you've got Discord, have you got Instagram? Yeah, all of these accounts can have 2FA, and if you have it on there, you're just going to give the bad guys an extra speed bump before they can get your stuff. So don't, just like backing up's important, and I don't want to get those emails. I don't want to get the emails saying, I got hacked, and it's no good. I got a call today. They want to help me with my student loan. Yeah, what did they want to help me with the other day was my extended warranty on my car. I'm like, that's interesting. I bought a new car like 5 years ago, and I'm still a year and a half into my 5-year warranty. So I don't understand what you're talking about. Oh, click, click. It's fun to mess with people. Couple of other bits of news and notes. Back to GarageBand related stuff. Do check out this one. Our friend of the show, Mr. Patrick Baird from the GarageBand Guide, has an awesome video coming out. 147 free plugins. And no, it's not clickbait. It's a legitimate thing. And look, I won't show you all the plugins. You can see them real quick. Basically, he goes through all the different plugin bundles that you can get. Now, these are for Mac, and there's a bunch of very cool free plugin bundles. So if you're looking to create your Songtember song, or you're just making music in GarageBand and you're using a Mac, check this out. Like, that's a whole bunch of free goodness, and you're going to be able to download yourself those plugins. And Patrick will be going through that. It premieres in 2 days' time, so right at the start of Songtember. So it's good timing. There's a link down in the description if you want to go and check it out. And speaking of Songtember, I've mentioned it a couple of times. If you're very, very new to the channel, or you haven't been paying attention to me and my rantings for the last month or 3 years, the 4th annual Songtember Song in a Month Challenge is kicking off tomorrow. Yeah, at this time tomorrow, I will be, in fact, earlier. It's an earlier start tomorrow. You can see there, live in 21 hours. So it's 7:30 a.m. for me. So it's a slightly earlier show. So Jade Starr will be doing her show at her usual time, and this one will be straight after Jade, and I'll be chatting with a couple of creators about their previous experience and their plans for Songtember 2022. And so get yourself over there. There's a link down in the description. Make sure that you set yourself a reminder. And by the way, I was chatting with folks in the Discord saying, I don't never know when you're live and when's your show's on. Easiest thing to do is join the mailing list, studiolivetoday.com/email, or if you just go to studiolivetoday.com, it'll pop that up. I only send one email a week, and it's my newsletter. And it says, here's the shows coming up in the next week, and here's all the links. So then you follow the link, and all you need to do is click this little notify me button. and you'll get a reminder, and it'll also tell you what time. So if this bit here that says live in 21 hours, 31 August at 7:30, that's for me in my time zone. If you're in the UK, the US, Canada, Hawaii, wherever, it'll give you the time and the date in your time zone. So it means you can stay up to date, because people are like, when? I didn't know this was show, or why is it YML? I thought it was GarageBand Weekly. We're pretty consistent, but if there's any changes to times, you can follow that. Make sure you're on the mailing list and make sure that you have that. 95 Ford Ranger, does that have the extra extended warranty? They've declared, they've declared an election in Quebec this Sunday. Shady phone calls have already tripled. Oh, man. Yeah, like, it's bad enough that you get those legitimate political ones where you answer, you're like, hello, and it's like, hi, this is Congress member Blurg, and I'd like you to vote for me, and if you've got any questions, I'm just a machine, so you can't ask them. Oh, well. Alrighty, so that's all our news and notes. Don't forget all the links down in the description, and you can go and check all that out. But now, let's do some Q&A, shall we? Yep, we've got a good 45 minutes to answer as many questions as we can. We've got a few that are already here from that have come in through the week from some folks, so we'll throw those up on the screen as well. But we've got some questions that have come in. So Mars Capone was here bright and early and asked this one. Pete, what are some considerations to make when releasing covers with DistroKid? Great question. Good start. Now, is this directly GarageBand? No, but that's okay, because GarageBand's like a lifestyle, my friends. GarageBand's like the culture, and but yeah, GarageBand helps you make music, and of course, then you've got to release it. So whether you're making videos for your music, or whether you're mixing, or whether you're releasing, these are all related questions. If you come in here to your DistroKid, the thing to think about with a cover is that it's gonna cost you extra cash. So if we come in here, let's pretend we're releasing a cover. The bit where you change it, it's really actually quite simple. All you need to do is change the part where it asks you if you wrote it. So down here, it's got the songwriter. Let's just zoom in on this sucker so you can get a nice big view of this one. So down here where it says songwriter, I wrote this song, or managed the songwriter, it's an original tune, or another artist wrote it, it's a cover song. So this is the bit that you need to know about. So cover songs are okay. Cover song is a song that you performed and recorded yourself, but the music was written by someone else. For example, when your band plays, I'm going to replace this because I'm not talking about that. When your band plays Alive, written by Pearl Jam, it's totally okay. DistroKid makes it easy and legal to cover songs. Sampling is probably not okay. So using parts of the original recording are not okay, and using samples and loops and remixes are probably not okay. You can do them, but it's a lot more complex. But for most of us that are just saying, hey, I want to cover Strawberry Fields by the Beatles, then all you need to do is come in here and jump in and select this. And you can read there how it all works. We won't go into all the detail there. But basically, it creates the license. So it does all the work for you, because the way it works generally is you have to go and get permission. You have to go and get a mechanical license to cover someone else's song. What DistroKid actually do is they go and do all that work for you. They go and obtain the license. And I've released a cover song. I know Jade's released a cover song that we worked on together, a Ben Folds song, and it all works pretty well and pretty quickly. So all you need to do here is put the original artist or songwriter and the original song title, and then confirm that the track does not sample or remix another artist's recording. So again, if you want to make that Strawberry Fields cover, you can't grab the Mellotron that Paul McCartney played and just use exactly that recording. You can recreate it using your own sample, like your own sound pack, your own Mellotron sound, but you can't just lift it directly from the original one. So they're the main things to keep in mind, and it is going to cost you. So for DistroKid, it's $1 per month billed annually, so $12 per year that you'll need to have set aside so that you can actually release a cover song. So a really good question and a good one to get us started there. If you want to release a cover song, there's some of the things that you want to keep in mind and be aware of when you do that. Just in time. Hello, Mars. Thanks for dropping on by. I appreciate you being here. All right. And there you go. Yes, as Thomas says, we're doing the mailing list. Cool shirt. Thank you. Yes, the Smashing Pumpkins are my spirit band from the 90s. Right. Let's grab our next question as they have come in here. And this one comes from Barry Glenn. Baz says, when I use the blue echo pedal in GarageBand and finish a session, I find when I start back up again, I have trouble to get it to work again. Are there any free or cheap limited funds echo pedals? That is a good question, and I'll throw it out here to the crowd because we do have a live audience here. So if anyone has any suggestions, any ideas, any tips on an echo pedal, so you're talking about the blue echo pedal in GarageBand. As part of the guitar amp sims, let's go live to my iPad and suss this out, shall we? So here is a track. Let's load this up. I do have my guitar still plugged in, so we'll give a bit of an experimentation here. So you're saying that you're using, say, the guitar amp. Where are you, amp sims? Guitar amp. Let's just grab an amp here, and you're talking about this pedal here. And you're saying, when I go back again, having trouble to get it to work again. So you're looking for an echo pedal. There's a couple of options. The free way to go is Tone Bridge. So I know I've talked about Tone Bridge a bunch of times, but Tone Bridge is a good option. And if you find a tone in Tone, you can actually use Tone Bridge to sculpt your own tones. Jade Star, you've done a bunch of videos on these. If you've got links, link them here, because you can basically go into the Tone Bridge app and customize it, or you can simply just use Tone Bridge. So if there's a particular sound in a particular song, that has a really cool delay on it, you can actually go away and use that instead. Let me just try and replicate this out. Let's grab my guitar and do a quick recording here. So we're going to throw input 2 on here. We'll turn the monitoring on and we'll turn the sound up. And this should be coming through here now. So let's just do a very quick recording here to give it a bit of a test run. All right. Was that coming through? Not very loudly. That's right. We'll see if we play it back if it's going to come through here. Yeah. So if you wanted that sound there, then you can obviously use the echo pedal there. Another option is to just simply, instead of using that echo pedal, like if we turn that off, if you're having problems with the pedals, you can get a lot more control if you use the track echo. So instead of using that one, just come in here and use the track echo, which is free GarageBand plugin. And this way you can actually set this exactly to what you want. So say you want an 8th note echo there, you can... And you can really control the wet and dry of these. You can control how much it repeats. So if you want like a half note, so to hit it on the 1s and the 3s, you can. You can get a ridiculously long echo doing it like that. The other option I talked about was finding Tone Bridge. You can also use. We'll delete that one. It's still playing. It's still going. You can use the audio unit extensions here and the free Apple ones that I've done videos on as well. There is another one here, the AU delay. This one again has a few more features that you can play around with. You've got your dry, wet, delay time, feedback, and even your low pass cutoff frequency on that one. So that's another free option. And another free option is, as I said before, just find yourself a Tone Bridge amp, Tone Bridge tone that's going to be something similar. So if we go in here and we load up Tone Bridge on that track, and we tap on that one. If you just go like, we've got Master of Puppets on there, but let's just go like, say you wanted to say some Blue Oyster Cult. They use a lot, bit of nice echo, don't they? Blue Oyster Cult. You can just search out the band and the track name and come in here. Let's just throw Don't Fear the Reaper and see what this has on here. So you can hear that's got a bit of a flange on there and it's got a little bit of delay on there. So just play around with that and you'll eventually find something that'll work for you. Hopefully that helps you out, Barry, because there's some options that you have there. There's some options. I have an echo pedal that I use for my guitar. Could I plug in my guitar in and then into the interface? Yeah, and that's another thing. That's probably option number 2 is why not just record it that way? So I've done a video before. I used a distortion pedal. I used my classic Boss DS1, but you can do the exact same thing with a wah. You can do the same thing with an echo pedal, anything that you like. I'll just search it out here. Pete John's real pedal. I think I did. Yeah, so there's the video here. This one here. So I show you how to use a distortion pedal, and it's pretty much as simple as plugging your guitar into the pedal, plug the pedal into the output. The one thing I'll say about that is be really careful with your input and your output gain, the volume coming through, because if it's too loud, you're going to get serious clipping distortion, and not the good sort of distortion, but some dodgy distortion, which is not going to work. Yeah, exactly. And to Jade's point there, in Tone Bridge, that's what I was talking about before. If you can go and make your own custom sounds. I'm very lazy, so I just go and find a band and then just throw their pedal onto it and then just up and down the effect. But if you want to actually tweak the effects and make sure you get exactly the type of echo you want, then dive into Tone Bridge into the back end and you'll be all good to go. Very welcome. Don't fear the reefer. Yeah, I think there was a few reefers smoked back in the BOC were creating their songs. Let's just grab, there's a few more I'm going to do a quick scan for any cues, any questions, and we can throw that. Danny Gable says, I bought a Boss RE20 and used it as outboard gear and it worked great. Yeah, and the thing is, just make sure that when you're plugging in, turn everything down and then just slowly bring it up. Because you know what it's like when you've got like a pedal board or a chain of pedals, sometimes one gain goes into another gain and then, yeah, you just get horrible feedback and you can actually damage your gear if it's too bad. If it's powered and you've got a powered signal going in, you can damage it. Also make sure that your input on your device is set to instrument mode. So it'll be called something like instrument mode, or what's the other one? What is it that it calls it? So it's like XLR or high Z or high Z. That's the other thing that you want to do. Hello, Adrienne. I hope you are doing well. I'll go back here and just make sure I've grabbed all that. Just join the mailing list. Yeah, it's the easiest way. I promise you, I'm a lazy man, as I just said. I only email once a week, and all you get is a newsletter, and then you'll be good to go from there. All right, let's grab our next one. I'll just remove these. Oops, I nearly put Barry in a timeout. That wouldn't have been good. Sorry, Barry. I didn't mean to do that. No. Princess LGG's Kingdom. How should I mix background vocals? Carefully. No, background vocals. The key to these is really just to get the balance of the volume right. Let me open a project here where I've got some background vocals. In fact, you know what would be good? I'll bring up Work in Progress, which is last year's Songtember song, because that one had a lot of BG vocals going on in there. I just got to find my Songtember folder and my Work in Progress. There we go. Let's bring this one up. So in my experience, backing vocals, for a very basic backing vocal, the basic technique is get yourself two. So if you want a 3-part harmony, for instance, I'll have my main vocal going up the middle. I'll then record slightly quieter the backing vocals on the left and the right. I'll turn the volume on those right down, and then I've got that nice wall of sound. So you've got your lead vocal up the middle, and then you've got your two vocals. So if you've got like a third and a fifth harmony, you've got them sitting off to the side. Let's see if I can find a spot here where I actually do this in this particular project. So here are my lead vocals, and actually this one doesn't have backing vocals. This is probably a bad idea, but we do have let's just play it. Well, just play it. Because we're all just so I can progress. So what I've got here, these are my backing vocals, and you can see here how they're much quieter because I've kind of sung them in a bit quieter. So if we listen to just the backing vocals. We all still learn. Nobody's perfect. So that's my backing vocals sitting again on the left and the right there. I usually use quite a lot more delay or reverb on backing vocals because you kind of want them to swim around in the mix. They don't have to be they can be a little bit more floaty. So that's the other thing that I'll do with a vocal. Let's grab my main vocal and bring the lead vocals. So I've got a lead vocal here and a doubled vocal of these. So if we bring these in with the backing vocals. We're all just so I can progress. Nobody's got it figured out. Yes, we're all just so I can progress. Nobody's got it figured out. And as Mars Capone says here, use reduction EQ on the backing vox so you don't step on the lead vocals, bass drums, etc. It's exactly. So especially if you've got a part like this. Another thing, I didn't really need to do this because they're kind of thin. I recorded, you can see there, I recorded them from more of a distance on the mic, so they already don't have a lot of bass heaviness. So that's the other thing. You generally don't want a lot of mid-range and bass in backing vocals. They're usually higher than your lead, and you usually want them to be a bit quieter. As Mars said, if you do have problems with that, what you might want to do is come in here to your EQ and do exactly what I've done here. Roll off some of the low end and the mid range. So you can see here that I've done exactly that. I've made sure that these aren't competing with the lead vocals and they're sounding a bit lighter and giving it a little bit more air. You could even add some treble, like increase the treble there if you wanted to take it to the next level there. I just want to listen to this, the work in progress choir that we have here, because last year, if you weren't around for Songtember last year, we did something cool. I got everyone that was watching the series to record, and I think there's about 14 or 15 different tracks, and we brought them all down here into one. And this extra one here is Mark, who's here in the chat right now, Mark Bro, because I didn't add his in. I didn't get it to the last minute, so I added it in as a separate track. But this is what our WIAP choir sounds like. We're all just a work in progress. And of course, the little extra one there's Jade Star, because of course it is. Very cool stuff. So hopefully that gave you some tips and ideas. So the main thing for me with backing vocals is they should be lighter and a little bit airier than your main vocal. You don't want them to compete with your main vocal. Using some stereo width can really help out there, and you'll generally want a little extra in the way of things like delay or reverb to just separate them out there from everything else. Hello, Brad Example. Hope you are doing well. Mixed Club, will give it a try. I've always treated the background kind of the same as the lead. Use the same mic and singer. Could be I'm lazy. Look, I'm lazy too. But yeah, and that's where if you've done that, a little bit of reductive EQ can actually work really well. Cubasis has a lot of useful. It does indeed. The channel strip preset. So Cubasis has the channel strip stuff that can really help you out with that. So hopefully that helps you there. I'll just do another quick scan, see if we've got any other cues. Once again, if you do have a question, make sure you just put a big fatty old cue in front of it. And that way I can star it and make sure that I answer the question for you. Let's just remove that one and we'll grab this one. Are you on a webcam? The Premiere, when you did a Vacation Look Nice, was it the same setup? Yes, yeah. So yes and yes. So the Premiere I did with Georgie looked better because Georgie was in it and it wasn't just my mug. She's more attractive than I am. Subjectively, I think so. And if I didn't, that'd be a bit weird. But so what I use, if you jump on over to studiolivetoday.com/gear, you'll see all the gear that I use. And what I'm on at the moment here is the Logitech Brio, which is a 4K webcam. I only use it in 1080p mode because StreamYard only does 1080p. And the pre-recorded one I did on the weekend was also only 1080p. But if you want to see all the gear that I use for everything, it's here, studiolivetoday.com/gear. If you go down here to my desktop setup, you'll see that it's this one, the Logitech Brio webcam. Not the cheapest, but definitely the most flexible in terms of the settings and the quality. Actually, they're not too bad now. $129 is a bloody good price for that. Get onto that. Don't don't delay on that one. If you are in the market for a webcam, yeah, I would go and grab one. I may just order another one. Just so that I've got a spare, because when mine inevitably fails, that'll be something I need. But yeah, I reckon I paid about $350 Australian, which is about $250 American. So if you can pick that one up for $129, that's pretty good. The other one that I tried to use earlier that failed because apparently my Mac didn't want me to have two connected at the same time as this one. So if you're looking for something a bit more, that's a good price too. Why are webcams so cheap? I bet what happened is that, remember at the start of the P word when everyone was buying webcams and they were all super expensive because there was no stock? I bet Logitech went, right, it's a golden age for webcams. Let's make 1 billion of them. And they went out and produced a whole lot. And now everybody got one. and no one needs another one because they're actually good quality. So this is a bloody good price too. $64 for the C922, which is a 1080p webcam. And look, you even get a free little tripod. Oh, adorable. So yeah, in terms of that, and look, you can, the next step up, and something that I've dabbled with but don't bother with, is using a standalone camera like a DSLR or a mirrorless camera with the output via HDMI. It just adds a lot of moving parts. So if you want to do that for live streaming or for recording to your Mac or your PC, you can, but you need a few things. You need a high quality HDMI adapter to plug in, a USB to HDMI adapter. You need a camera that sends out a clean HDMI. So my DSLR is pretty darn old, and it doesn't send out a clean signal, which means, you know how on a camera it has like the little targeting thing, and it has the ISO, and it has the memory storage. You can't get the vision without that on it, which is no good, because you wouldn't want to be watching me right now and have like memory and ISO and like a square around my face. Well, maybe you would, but generally not. So yeah, that's why I don't use a standard camera. But a lot of the little ones, like the Sony Z1, I think it is, the Z1, the small little mirrorless and the small little compact cameras, they do a really good job, and they're a lot smaller. But again, you really can't beat the convenience of literally grabbing a webcam, shoving it in a USB port, and setting it up and going. And yeah, Logitech have decent software for PC. On a Mac, the software is not so good. I use an app that was recommended to me by a bunch of folks called Webcam Settings, which is about a $15, $20 app, but that lets me control everything. So if I'll bring that over here and just show you real quick, what you can actually do is dial. So I've got a preset that I use here, but like I can change everything up here on the fly. Oh, that's that one. So I can change up, like, so if I want to change the brightness, you can see, it can set everything exactly as you want to there. You can change exposure time, you can change gain, you can change contrast. So that's what I'd spend a little bit of time doing, is playing around with that and getting a good consistent, let's say that's too bright now. Yeah, sorry, I shouldn't have changed that, because now I've got to get it back to where it was. About like that. So yeah, webcams for the win. They're definitely the easiest ways to get yourself a decent quality picture if you're doing live streaming or even recording. Because I got to be honest, I'm a bit lazy. I could just record it to OBS or something else. I generally, even when I'm doing pre-records for shows, I'll just record it in StreamYard and then download the video and then use it there. So that's the option. Yes, all my gear recommendations are indeed over at that particular website at studiolive today.com/gear. Not the Brio for $19 was an off-name brand, but I also have a Brio. Sorry. Oh, that's all right. That's all good. All good in the hood. Not a problem there. Let's grab our next question here. It is from Chinton CG. Hello to you, my friend. Is there a way to share multiple projects for collaboration over iCloud? I could only do one at a time. Yeah, you can only do one at a time, unfortunately. Here's what I do. So I don't use, and I've done a lot of collaborating, and whenever I collaborate, especially with like Jade Starr when she's doing drums, or when I was working with Tremor Bear and doing the vocals for him, I don't actually use the sharing option here. So I've shown it before here on the channel. It's very easy to do. If you come to your project here and you hit the share button, you can actually share it directly within iCloud. And then the benefit of that is that your collaborator can then open it up, make changes, save it. Those saved changes come over to your iCloud. It creates a synced folder between you and your collaborators in iCloud. Now that sounds great and is great in theory. In practice, what happens is that every time you open and they open at the same time, and every time someone saves it, if there's any conflict between the two, it saves a new version. And it gets very clunky and confusing as to which is the actual latest version. So let's say that Chinton's created a track and a project, and he shares it with a collaborator called Mr. X. Mr. X goes in and creates some vocals, but at the same time, Chinton goes in and remixes, like adds some EQ to one of the original guitar tracks. Those will both save in, and then it'll be like, oh, we found a conflict. We've created a backup version. So then you get the name of the track version 1 and the name of the track name of other artist, and it honestly gets really confusing. So if you are going to use that, my recommendation is only one person work on it at the time. So as soon as you've shared it via iCloud, close it, save it, and don't open it again until that collaborator has done everything, and then they've saved it and closed it, and they say, right, all clear, you go. Then you go back in and open it. The concept of both being able to work in at the same time is lovely in theory, but again, in practice, it's a pain in the butt. What I actually do if I want to share multiple songs is I'll zip them up. So to do this, it's actually super simple. You can't do it here from within GarageBand, but if you go to the Files app, if we jump on over here and you go to the Files app, if you don't have the Files app, get it because it's super valuable. You'll use it all the time. So go to the Files app. You can go download it from the App Store if you don't have it already. And if I go here into, say, my GarageBand iOS and I go into my tutorial songs, say I wanted to collaborate on like these three different projects, what I would do is actually grab this and select these three projects, go to the bottom right here, which you can't see. I'll just take your question off the screen for a moment. Go to the bottom right there, hit the More button, and then hit Compress. And what this will do is grab those three project files and zip them up. See this one here, archive.zip? This is now something that I can share. I can share this on Google Drive, on Dropbox, on iCloud Drive, on OneDrive, on Mega, any of your cloud sharing platforms. You can even copy this over to a USB drive and then use that instead. So that to me is the easiest way to do it. And then if you send that file, so you upload it to Google Drive, you send someone else the link, they download it. All they need to do at their end is open it up like this. It'll open that folder, and then there it is. It's got those three projects. They go in and work on them. They save them as version 2 or version 3 or whatever it is. Then they do the exact same thing. They select every one of those, they zip them back up, and they send it back to you. So say you're working on a whole project, and you got someone that is recording vocals on 10 songs. Grab your 10 projects, zip them all up, stick them on something, on some sort of cloud storage, send the link to that cloud storage to someone else. They go in, they change them, then they do the same thing. They zip up those new versions. So you won't get the convenience of having them be able to be used at the same time, but you are going to save yourself a lot of headaches caused by all those conflicting versions and things that you're going to get. So hopefully that helps you out, Chinton, if you are doing that with multiple different things. Omni Collective Creativity says, I can share a GarageBand project to Google Drive, copy link of the file and send it whenever I want. And bam, but I'm only in collaboration with Mr. Smith. There you go. So yeah, but the one thing I would recommend is, if you are doing collaborations, is to make sure that you do zip them up, because the problem with that, the reason that I say zip them instead of just sharing the project, whoop, that's the wrong page, is that on some platforms, and that maybe they've improved it in recent times, but particularly Microsoft platforms and Google platforms, so we're talking about OneDrive and Google Drive and I think Dropbox as well, they don't support these, because GarageBand.band files are actually folders. The Mac reads them as a file and then reads everything. But if you've ever transferred a Mac file like a .band project to a PC, you'll see that it actually comes up as a folder, and it's got a lot of subfolders and a lot of different files in there. Something like Google Drive gets super confused with that and will often corrupt that file, so it won't actually work. So keep that in mind. Always zip up if you want to make sure that you don't have any file corruption difficulties. Hello to folks that are joining us. G'day, Brian. Jay, I saw a question from you there. I'll tag that one and we'll come to that in a moment. Hello to John Frank Songs. Hello, Caleb. Lag. Am I lagging? Are you lagging? I don't know. Who knows? What are there, solar flares and stuff going on at the moment? I think that's what I was hearing from Jade. So there's been some challenges. If you are just joining us, welcome to the show. If you do have a question, what helps me out is if you put a big, fat, chunky Q at the front of your comment, and that just helps me identify those as questions, and we can answer them, and we can answer as many questions. I did have some reserved questions here, but we're getting so many live questions, we may or may not get to some of those. We'll see how we go, because I do want to help the folks out here live, and then we can continue on and answer other questions at another time. Let's grab this one from Music R Master. Is there a way to put all your music to one old phone to the other new phone? Is there a way to put all your music to one old phone? Are you talking about your created music, or are you talking about downloaded music? There's a few variables on this one. So in terms of your created music, yeah, you can do the stuff I just showed you there. So the easiest way is just to zip everything up. So if you have your own project, so you're working on your music, whether they're Cubasis projects or Audio Pro or GarageBand, you can just select multiple things here, zip them all up, copy them on across to wherever you want them to go. And what I tend to do is use something like Dropbox or Google Drive or OneDrive or iCloud Drive. Any of those are going to work fine. You can even, again, use USB USB. And I've got videos here on the channel that show you how to hook up a USB drive to your iPhone or your iPad. With an iPhone or iPad, you'll need a Lightning to USB 3 adapter. And again, they're over at the Gear Guide, studiolivetoday.com/gear. And for a USB-C based iPad, you'll just need any sort of USB-C to USB adapter, and you can plug those in. The key thing to keep in mind is the file system. So you need something that's going to support an FAT or an exFAT file system. NTFS, which is Windows's file system, will not work with iOS stuff. So that's one way to do it. The easiest way, if you're getting a new phone, you've got an old phone and a new phone, iOS actually makes this super simple. So the last sort of 3 or 4 phone changes I've done, you haven't had to do anything. So the one way you can do it is to back it up to iCloud. So make sure that you've got enough iCloud storage and that your device is backed up. Plenty of videos and things on the internet that show you how to do that. But basically, you set your iCloud back up, and that backs it up to Apple's iCloud servers. If you don't have that, or if you don't want to use that, there's actually a new phone tool that pops up. As soon as you log in with your iCloud account, your Apple account, to a new phone, it'll say, do you want to replicate everything on this old phone to this new phone? And it just shoves it all over for you. So that's what I've done the last few times. That's the easiest way, in my experience, to get that done. It doesn't take much time. But again, if you're talking about other things, so if you're talking about your music library or music files and things, there's other ways that you can do that. But my recommendation these days is generally to use something like that. All right. Let's see if we've got any other questions that have come on in. You can hook back up an old phone. Yeah, exactly. So that's the easiest way to do if you've got the ability to do that. Indeed. All righty. Hello, Eric. Just wanted to say thank you. Anytime I have any questions, you've answered it years ago. Thank you. Yeah, I like it. It's my hive mind. I like to say that eventually I'm just going to have created an electronic version of my brain. And when a lot of people email me about like GarageBand questions, I don't think they realize quite how many videos there are. There's over 3,000 videos on this channel. So there's basically an answer to everything. So if you just search my name, here's a tip. If you're trying to find something out, just like we did before with the pedal question, if you're trying to find something about GarageBand or about anything you think I might have an answer for, just put just put my name, Pete Johns, and what it is. So yeah, if you're talking like EQ, if you search Pete Johns EQ, you're going to get a bunch of EQ related videos there. If you go Pete Johns compression and you want to learn how to use compression, you're going to get a whole bunch of compressor related videos, free plugins, tips, all that sort of stuff. So yeah, it's thank you for that. But I hope that you and others can benefit from that, because I actually I answer questions, but more often than not, my question answer is literally just a link to one of my videos. And not that I mind doing it, but I say to folks, look, it's much more efficient. Go to studiolivetoday.com/GarageBand, look through the FAQ there, or just go to YouTube, search my name and whatever you want, and you should be able to find what you need. We've got a bunch of questions. I'm going to keep going through these here, the live questions. So we may not get to those additional questions. Maybe I'll do a separate show for those and release that, because there's some good questions in that lot too. So maybe we'll do that as a separate one. Caleb says, can you split multi-tracks on an already existing song? No. Short answer, no with a but. Long answer, yes with a but. No. So you can't extract individual tracks. So say you've got a WAV file or an MP3 file, you can't pull out every individual track. What you can do is there's services now, and I've shown them. There's one called melody.ml. Does that still exist? Basically, there's apps and there's websites that do this, and they all use the same engine, the same algorithm to do it. And it's a machine learning engine. I've forgotten the name of it. I should be able to do that. But melody.ml is one that I've showed here on the channel before. What you do see is you upload a song, you give it your email, which is always a little bit iffy, but you can turn your song into vocals, drums, bass, and other. So it uses machine learning, and you can either do vocals and instrumental or try and separate them all out. It works okay, but it's not the best thing. So it uses different frequencies and different multi-band frequency splitting technology to try and pull that out. So if you want something basic and simple, so say you've got a song and you want to be able to do your own karaoke version to it, or you want to add different drums to, beef it up with some 808s or something, you can use something like melody.ml to do that. And instead of going through and showing you a demo of it, I'll do exactly what I said before, because if you go Pete Johns melody.ml, which is the name of the service that does it, you'll see that one. Remove vocals, yes. And that's how to do it. So you can go and watch that video and watch me do exactly that process. So yeah, the answer there is a big maybe, kind of, sort of. But hopefully that's somewhere to start. And there's other apps. I think, Jade, you showed one on a recent How to App on iOS. That's a standalone app in iOS that does the same thing. I'm pretty sure it probably uses the same engine. They all use, again, I can't remember the name of the engine, but it's pretty common and it's out there. I'm motivating you to make a how-to series. Do it. Why not? Always. I recommend everyone create content, because different people will learn in different ways, and some people learn from the style of teaching that I use, and some people don't, and that's totally cool. Like, that's why I recommend other creators. I recommend you go to Jade if you want the balls and all, you want the details of all the apps. Then Jay's going to show you a lot more detail than I ever am, because she's going to dive into it. And the same with Patrick. If you want to learn about GarageBand Mac, Patrick's your guy. I'm learning from Patrick about GarageBand Mac. So yeah, there's options out there. You don't need to just use one creator. So the more people creating, the better it is. And what do they say? The high tide raises all ships. I agree with that one. How do I select and copy a track or multiple tracks and paste them in my iPad? Good question. There's a couple of things to keep in mind here. So let's open a project and we'll go through this. So let's say we've got a project here. In terms of copying the actual track, you can't actually copy the track and all the track settings. So the way GarageBand works is, here's all the settings that we have here. So these dreamy dulcet bells, we can delete, we can duplicate, we can merge. We can do those sort of things on here, but you can't say select multi. So if I just wanted to select these 4 tracks with all their synths and everything, I can't actually do that. But what you can do is you can multi-select the items here. So the way you do that is tap and hold and drag around it. So say I wanted these 5 tracks here and I wanted to put them in a different project. I can do that. I then tap anywhere in here again and hit copy. And then even if I'm opening up a brand new project, Apple removed this, but then they put it back in, which is a good thing. So I open up a brand new project here. We'll just go to audio recorder just to create a blank project. And now if I tap out here in this blank space and hit paste, boom, look what happens. It brings them all in with all of their settings, all their volumes, all their settings. So it's actually super smart. A lot of people don't know this. They think, oh no, I can't bring my tracks over from one project to another. You totally can. You've just got to use that method. You've got to select them all. And look, if you've got multiple, let's say you've got multiple chunks of stuff, I'll just delete that one because I don't like to leave behind stuff. So if we go into this one, so even if you've got things like this, that we were playing with before, where you see how we've got all these little bits and pieces and parts, we can actually do, like, select all of those as well. So if you wanted to select everything, say from here down, you could do the same thing, just wrap around it and get all of these ones, and then you can just copy and paste those, and that will paste all of that stuff in there. The other thing you can do is tap in a blank space and do select all. That will select everything. And the other way, it's going to be hard to demonstrate here with the mouse, so I have to lean in a bit, is if you tap on one, and then you tap and hold on that one and then tap on others, you can actually select multiple stuff like that. And then when you tap and copy, it's going to do that multi-select. The easier way, and what most people want to do, is select a whole chunk like that. So you can use that, or you can use your multi-select by tapping and holding and tapping on the others. But it's super handy. You can actually grab all the stuff from one project and bring it over to another, including all of its settings, its instruments, its volumes, and everything else. So hopefully that answered your question, David, and gets you on your way to creating. It didn't work at one point. Hello, Modern Retro, by the way. It didn't work at one point, but it does now. Yeah. So it's a pretty handy one if you haven't used it before. It used to work, and then they removed it in one version, and then we all complained and yelled at them, and then they put it back in, thankfully. I think it was a mistake that they took it out, and then it was back in. Or it was a glitch, and then they re-glitched it. Who knows? You never quite know with Apple and GarageBand, do you? All right, let's jump to our next question. This one comes from Brian J. Any info on the Shure MV1 or MVI interface? I read it's problematic with GarageBand. The Shure MVI. Let me look this one up. Is it the one I'm thinking of? Let's go to Sweetwater and find it. The Shure MVI. Because what am I thinking of? I'm thinking of something different, I think. Let's just make sure I'm on the right page with this one. Oh, yes. This one here. So full disclosure, have not used it. and have not heard a heap about it. So this is the Shure MVI. It's the one that has, it has all the built-in effects and DSP stuff. $99, pretty good price for that. So by the looks of it, you got your different modes there. So you've got like, guitar mode, you've got vocal mode, you've got speech mode. So it's apparently good for like podcasts and recording. Comes with your USB cable as well as a lightning cable in the box, I believe. Or is that, I think so. Because it says it's for iOS. Or does it? Maybe it doesn't. Mac, Windows, Android. No, that actually looks like it's USB-C and USB-A. So it looks like you'd still need... So saying that you'd still need a Lightning to USB adapter for this one, that kind of doesn't do it for me originally. Because it's using micro USB. It's got a 3.5mm headphone jack. It's got a combo jack there. So it's only a single channel at a time interface. So you can only do guitar or mic. You can't do both. Look, the fact that I haven't heard about this a lot or seen a lot of people using it, I can't recommend it. I mean, it's had 3 reviews. It's got 5 stars. It probably does a good thing. Sure, are a good company. It's probably okay. But it's also got this touch screen front here for your volume and thing. And I don't know about you guys, but not only am I a knob, I like a knob. I like a good heavy knob that I can turn on my gear. So I don't know that I would go with something like this personally. My recommendation for something similar would be the iRig Pro IO, which is a little pricier, I believe. So it's $169. But it does all of that, and it's a cracking good interface for iOS. So you've got your 48-volt phantom power, has MIDI input as well. It comes with every cable you could need, Lightning included, so you don't need a Lightning to USB adapter, which will save you like $35 out of the gate. So you're already at $135 if you bought the $100 Shure and the interface to plug it into your iPad or your iPhone. But I've been using iRig stuff for a long time now, for a good 3 years. I've got this, I've got the Pro Duo, I've now got the Pro Quattro, which I'll be using to record my song Timber Song, actually. So I not that I would not recommend the other one, because I can't say that, but I've used this, and again, the iRig Pro Duo is what I used for my last couple of songs, and it is just awesome. So $229, so it's a little pricier, but just the ability to be able to plug and play and go for it is good. And if you want more a traditional interface, you can't really go wrong with something like the Focusrite Scarlett series, the 2i2 or the Solo. They always work a treat. So the Solo would probably be for $119. I would definitely go something like this over and above that, because you're paying only an extra $20. You still need to plug it in via the same power setup, but you're good to go. Or even the Steinberg have the new UR12 actually looks super cool. Like, they hadn't updated this for a long time, but now look at this. Look at this sucker. Now shipping the brand new retro orange looking UR12B. Same Steinberg quality, the same double input there with your 5-volt DC. It's basically the same thing. It's like now she's got a hat. It's like Malibu Stacy, but she's got a hat. So it's a little bit cooler. But that one works really well. So I would go with something like that. The other thing with the Shure is it doesn't have monitor outputs. So this one only has RCA outputs. Something like the iRig Pro Duo has proper TRS balanced outputs for monitor speakers if you wanted to add those in the future. So hopefully that gives you some things to ponder and consider there, Brian. But look, you can't go wrong. Like, it's not like Shure's going to be a bad interface, because they make good stuff. But I would go with that. I'll go with something like that. Personally, can recommend it. There you go. It does come with the Lightning cut. There you go. At least mine did. All right. So there you go. You've got a recommendation there from Modern Retro as well. So that's another good option for you. I know. It's challenging. Once you pick it though. The thing, if you get something from just don't buy a really cheap one. Don't buy a no-brand one, or potentially Behringer. If you buy Behringer, get the HD series. But if you spend at least $100 and get something from PreSonus, Focusrite, Steinberg, Yamaha, IK Multimedia, you really can't go wrong these days. Gone are the days where one's great and one's terrible. It's really more about the feature set. And for me, again, I don't like the fiddly touchscreens on those Shure devices. I use a couple of Shure things. I've got the Shure MV microphone for my iPhone, and that works really well, little Lightning mic. So I do use some Shure stuff, but it will come down to your own personal opinions. And if you can can go. It's a good excuse if you've got a shop nearby that sells some of this stuff. Go and have a fiddle with it, or check out some reviews on the YouTubes. All right, a few more questions that we have here. We really aren't going to get to much, are we? That one we've already answered, so I can pop that one away. Can you use AirDrop? Yeah. So thank you for that. The other option you have if you're trying to send from an iPhone to an iPad or an iPad to an iPad, and they're both in the same location. So if I've got my iPad and I want to send it to my iPhone, you can AirDrop that. So I'll show you how that works here. If I go to my iPad here and say I wanted to send this one to my iPhone, if I tap on that one and hit the share button here and share the project, it'll bring up my share sheet in just a jiffy, and I can actually hit the AirDrop button here. And if I turn my phone on, I can send it to my Mac too, but if I turn my phone on here, I can just say boom, and it's going to say sending. It'll ask me on my iPhone here in a moment, once it wakes up. It'll say, what do you want to open it with? You can't actually see that here. And I'm going to say GarageBand. So I'm going to say open with GarageBand, and it's going to bring that project across here. And there it is. It's right there on my iPhone here, and I can start using it there. You can, of course, also send it to your Mac if you happen to use a Mac. That's a handy thing to do if you want to share stuff that way. So yeah, your AirDrop can work for almost all of your different iPad, iOS type files, Mac files, everything else. We'll grab another question. We may go a little bit long here. Let's see. And Omni Collective Creativity says knobs and buttons routed with their functions. Knobs and buttons are good for folks with visual impairments. Absolutely. Let's. What was I doing? I lost my train of thought. Let's see, Ron Ward is coming up soon, and I don't want to go too far over Mr. Ron Ward because he's too cool. You don't want to mess with Rock and Ronnie Ward. He is live right now. Let's have a quick live look in to see what's up with our man Ron Ward and see what he's doing over there, because he looks like he's doing his all live request Rumble show. So if you're not familiar with Ron and his work,
in the description to this video, along with a lot of other good information.
He's doing his thing. So if you're Ron ready, and after this show, if you want to dive on over there, look, we'll give him a like. We'll share this here in the live chat here right now. So do save that one up, and we'll answer one more question, and then I'll let you jump on over and check out Rockin' Ronnie Ward if you want some more cool music stuff. Last question of the show is from Mr. Jay McGarren. Sorry, Jay. Any tips on recording acoustic guitar on Bias FX? Having problems getting a decent tone. Always sounds a bit boxy. Tried 2 condenser mics plus 1 mic and guitar plugged into interface. No joy. Yeah, acoustic guitars are a challenge, aren't they? They're one of those instruments that is kind of challenging to create. So I got to put Ron Ward away here. I'm gonna get distracted watching Rock and Ronnie Ward. So acoustic guitar. My technique that I've used most of the time is, and look, I'll search my video here, and I'll send you towards one of my videos on acoustic guitar recordings. I'm just gonna find it. Pete John's acoustic guitar. I have a lot of acoustic related stuff. How to record there. So I would recommend having a look at this video here. So that pose there is basically how I generally record. So I use a large diaphragm condenser, and this one it was the MXL 550 that I used to use, pointed at the 12th fret. What I've found is that getting it a bit further away can actually help, and as much as a lot of people say that you should record in like a really enclosed space. I find with acoustic guitars, you can see here, I'm recording in this room in this video. I find that actually having room for the sound to kind of ring out and even getting some of those reflections is not a bad thing. So I think the location, this is why mobile recording is pretty good, because you can record in different locations and it can actually give you better sound. So that's my basic version. I'll just copy this one and I'll throw it here in the chat so that you can check that video out afterwards. That'll then link off to a bunch of other videos and things. But if I've done my job properly, down here. Yeah, so I've said comfortable position your microphone pointing down and around the 12th fret. So I tend to make sure that it's pointing downwards. It just tends to capture. Removing all watch and jewelry is pretty obvious. Clothing and buttons. Remove everything from your pockets and make sure your guitar's in tune. All right, so the microphone position one's probably going to be the most important for you there. The other thing is, and you already mentioned this, but blending, because what I tend to find is that sometimes you don't get enough attack, so you don't get that nice attack sound if you're only using a microphone. Blending in a little bit of the direct signal can work a lot better. So, but it sounds like you've actually tried that one as well. I think just trying some different locations is probably going to be your best bet in terms of where you're actually recording. And the other thing is you can go out and try. It depends on what condenser microphones you're using too. You can try like a matched pair and record like stereo. I don't think you need to go that nuts. To me, the best tones that I've ever gotten is literally large diaphragm condenser, something like the Audio-Technica AT2020. That's what I use these days for my acoustic guitar recordings. But I also record direct in because I've got the Taylor. This one here actually has a really nice preamp built in, a nice pickup, built in. So I actually plug that directly in. I'll record condenser mic, record that one, probably put the condenser mic version as like 75% of the volume, and then the direct line in at 25%. And then adding a little reverb and even a little delay. I tend to find if you're getting that boxy sound where it's not sounding right, a little bit of air, so a little bit of delay and reverb, and then with your EQ, again, if it's sounding boxy, maybe look at some of those kind of muddy frequencies, some of that sort of mid-range frequencies. So grab your EQ and see if you can find where that boxiness is coming in the middle. That's kind of my basic tips, but yeah, look, it's one of the harder instruments. I think in terms of instruments to record, vocals and acoustic guitar are probably 1 and 2 in terms of complexity because they just have so much going on. They're so complex in terms of their tone and the quality that, yeah, you do need to use a little trial and error to get it happening for you there. But hopefully that gives you a few things to think about there as well. Thank you. Appreciate it, Brian. Appreciate you there. And very welcome. Hopefully it sends you some way. Yeah, exactly. Try reducing the mids. And when we say reducing the mids, just so that we're super, super clear on exactly what we mean by that, let's just give a quick demo here. We'll jump out of there. If we go back into this one, so my work in progress, this is probably a good example. This one, I'm pretty sure I only recorded this because the Taylor has such a nice pickup. I'm pretty sure these guitars are just using the direct line in. So there's left and right. Because I thought I actually got a quite nice kind of airy sound through there. So let's just have a quick look at my processing on these. Did I do anything? So that's my LRC5. That's just doing the low pass filtering. Did I do anything with this? So if anything, yeah, I had to actually bring down some of the top end there. So I didn't have any boxiness here. So I wasn't concerned. I didn't have to do any EQ on there. But I did use some track reverb on there, as you would have heard there. So quite a bit of reverb, and had the high cut at 3200. So making sure that the reverb's not going to be too sort of flighty, which can cause some problems. So yeah, that was a pretty basic kind of tone, and that was just using the direct input there as well. But on other songs, I've definitely used both tones. I can't think of one off the top of my head. But I'll if you've got any further follow-up questions, do let me know, because looks like we're going to have to do a version 2 of this next week, because all of the questions that I had pre-prepared and ready to answer, we didn't have to answer. So I'll hold those over for next week as backups, so that we can answer those if we get to that next time around. So that is going to do it for this one. Don't forget that we do have Songtember tomorrow. So I'm going to go, I'll search, if you search Songtember 2022, look what pops up. Yeah, it's this one. So Songtember 2022 is happening. There's the launch party. I'll throw a link to it right here, right now, so that you can set yourself a reminder. It'll pop you straight there after this show as well. So make sure you just hit that little set reminder button, put your notification on, and then join us live here in 20 hours time for that, the Songtember 2022 launch party. And don't forget, you can join the Discord, you can join the Facebook group, you can follow me on all the social media places. Everywhere is down in the description. And of course, you can go to studiolivetoday.com for all the things and the stuff. Don't forget Rock and Ronnie Ward happening right now if you're watching live. And I do want to say thank you for all of your awesome questions. They were all very well put. And hopefully, even those that didn't have any questions today, maybe you learnt a little tip or trick or two along the way as well. Thanks everyone for being here. As we say at the end of every show, please be kind to yourself this week. Be kind to others. Remember, life doesn't have to be perfect to be wonderful. I'll see you next time, folks. Bye for now.